A giant oak tree stood in the middle of a vast grassy field. The wind rustled its leaves as storm clouds gathered overhead. Soon that light breeze churned into a gale, and as it did, the clouds up above opened up to unleash a cold and heavy rain. The leaves on the tree twisted all over, some even breaking off as the tree shook with every gust of wind. There was a loud clap of thunder that shook the tree. A flash of lightning turned everything bright for a split second. In that flash, one lone acorn shone bright brown, but was quickly cast back into darkness. The acorn was the only one on the mighty oak this year, for it had been a rough winter and a harsh summer. The acorn clung to the branch as the rain splashed its side, and the wind tore at its weakening connection to its mighty parent tree. With one last tug, the acorn plummeted to the ground, splashing into a small puddle. As it came to a stop, there was a terrifying boom and a bright flash as lightning struck the mighty oak that the small acorn had come from. As mighty as the oak was, it was no match for the raw power of lightning. Before the echo of thunder had even begun to fade away, the oak's branches began to flicker as a bright orange flame spread from one to the next. Soon the oak was completely engulfed in crackling flames. The rain sizzled as it struck the tree, quenching the flames slightly, but the fire would not be denied. In very short order, the mighty oak was consumed, leaving a smoldering trunk. The clearing was finally dark again, and soon it was also quiet, for the rainstorm had left, leaving a clear night sky overhead. The small acorn, however, was no longer visible to the sky, for it had been buried under a layer of damp ash. It was a snug little bed that was just perfect for the small acorn, though it would never know what it had taken to make it. After that day, the clearing grew cold, and a short while later, snow began to fall, as winter had struck once again. The small acorn was still snugly protected by its bed of ash, and was unaffected by the winter. Soon winter was over, and spring visited the clearing, melting the snow that had accumulated over the small acorn. The spring melt was absorbed, and the shell began to weaken. Soon a crack appeared, and from that crack a small root tendril grew. The root dug itself shallowly into the ground, seeking nourishment. As it burrowed down, a small pair of leaves sprouted from the top of the heart of the acorn. The leaves spread for the first time, soaking up the sun's bright light. The days slowly passed for the growing seedling. Its roots dug deeper into the ground and branched off in new directions. The root was always on a quest for more food, for it was always hungry. Once in a while, raindrops pelted down on the leaves as gravity pulled them from the sky. The rain quenched its thirst and helped it grow even faster. As the days continued to pass, the stem thickened and grew skyward. Its leaves spread in all directions in search of more light. The seedling had become a sapling, and it was thriving, though things started to change rapidly around the sapling. It started to grow cold as the months passed. Summer had left, leaving a cold fall in its place. The sapling started to pull the energy from its leaves, and it stored that energy in its roots. The sapling's leaves churned from green to yellow and finally to orange and brown. As the days grew colder, the sapling's leaves started to fall to the ground. The last leaf finally fell to the ground. Days later, it became cold, so cold that when it started to rain, the drops froze as they fell to the ground. The soil around the tree slowly became covered in fragile snowflakes. Snow soon covered the sapling's branches. Time seemed to stand still for the sapling. It did not take notice of the freezing winds that pelted its sleeping trunk. Days turned into weeks and months. The months of time meant nothing to the sapling. It waited patiently for the time when it could wake again. One day, the sun started to warm the frozen air. The sun soon started to melt, and the ground began to thaw. It was the time that the sapling had been waiting for. The sapling sent its lifeblood up from its roots. Energy spread to the tips of the branches. New leaves began to bud. The leaves spread in the light of the bright spring sun. The sapling transformed itself and began to search for energy and food once more. Time seemed to pass faster as the sapling grew bigger and stronger. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months turned into years. The sapling grew up and became a full-grown tree. The tree's branches soon reached into the sky. The branches brought down the sun's everlasting light to feed its every need. A network of roots had spread under the tree. The roots kept growing deeper and wider, always looking for more water and nutrients. Time held no meaning for the tree. Days, weeks, months, and years meant the same thing. That is until a time came when the tree's growth started to slow. It stopped growing into the sky. Its roots no longer spread. Every winter seemed to be more difficult than the last. It was always harder to grow more leaves. The tree soon struggled to wake up from the long winters. Then one spring, the tree's branches didn't bud. The tree had reached its limit, and time had truly come to a stop for the now massive oak tree. No more would it reach for the light of the sun. No more would it drink the water of the ground. No more would it take minerals from the ground. Its life was over, though the tree had found a way for a part of its life to continue. The lifeless oak was now surrounded by all of its children. They had slowly spread around it, and now there was hundreds of large oaks in a once empty clearing. Time still continued for them. Life still moved forward, even after the lifeless tree fell to the ground many years later in a great windstorm. The tree's children kept growing into that endless sky to keep its memories alive and strong. Thank you for listening. This is a short story I had written a while ago, and I had posted a while ago as well, but I wanted to re-record it and make it a little bit better. Let me know if you've enjoyed by hitting that like button and subscribing. If you want to help support us, check our Outline store at dhits.com. Use the code CRAFTHITS to get 10% off. The link is in the description below. As always, hope you have a wonderful day.